Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the second of our Q&A video sessions with Game Logic. Today, I'm here with Derry Holt. How are you, Derry?
I'm good, my man. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us today. We really appreciate it.
More than welcome, mate. More than welcome.
So, Derry, you're the CEO and founder of the brilliant sales platform, One Up Sales. We use it in our business. It's excellent. And essentially, it's about gamifying sales competition, right? Can you tell us more about it and how that gamified element of the platform works?
Yeah, the whole gamification piece actually came about initially because my co-founder James and I both used to be games developers. I worked for a company called Exient in Oxford and then Malta. He worked in London for a company called Mediatonic, and between us both worked on some big games like Angry Birds, Heaven Strike Rivals, these big global international games. And we thought back at the very start, how can we bring what we know about making really engaging video games into the world of business software? And because he used to work in sales, he knows that one, salespeople make a lot of data. Two, it's a very, very motivationally driven role. So we thought, okay, let's take sales, let's take games and bring the two together in the middle. And this came about with One Up Sales being a gamified platform where essentially you give a points value to different activities, like 1 point for sending a CV, or 10 points for booking a meeting, or 20 points for closing a deal. And then you have a real-time leaderboard on TVs inside the platform that you can then see how these standings update, who's in the lead, who's falling behind, fun things like that. So the whole idea was just about how can we motivate people using their own data. And before long, that expanded into things like reporting, TV displays, real-time deal celebrations, all with the goal of engaging people around sales data.
Brilliant. And like I said, we've been using it for a year now. We absolutely love it. I cannot recommend that product more highly. So thank you. Outside of your job as One Up, you're quite big into your eSports, right?
I am a bit.
A little bit. Tell us about what you do in eSports and what your role entails within that industry.
Yeah, sure. So eSports kind of started for me alongside the same time that this business did. So I think back at the very start of this, it was just an idea. I was doing some free commentating. So what I do is I talk over competitive video games. People play it like they would a game of football. We sit there and talk about what they're doing, get excited, shout and scream a little bit when they do cool things, that sort of vibe to get viewers excited. And this has kind of grown alongside the business. Initially, it was kind of a passion thing. I did it for free. And over time, it's now become almost like a second career alongside the business, where I'm flying off to countries like Canada to go and cover essentially the World Cup of Rainbow Six Siege, which is the main game that I cover. That was for their event called the Six Invitational. I've been to Switzerland, to Portugal. They fly us all over the shop to go and commentate on these, although this year, admittedly, a lot of it has been from home. So it's been quite an interesting sort of side life to live alongside a business that's focusing on gamification. And it's definitely led to some very interesting crossovers over the years.
Yeah, hence this video Q&A, right?
Exactly, mate, exactly.
So eSports seems to be gaining huge momentum at the moment. And there were even rumors about it potentially being in the 2024 Paris Olympics, right? What is it about eSports that is so appealing, and will it make it to the Olympics one day?
Oh, it's always that. The age-old debate in esports for years has been, is it a sport? Is it not? And you get a lot of people who sit there and go, no, it's not a sport. It's not physical activity. It's not exerting yourself. And then you get people who argue, well, have you seen players on a stage when they're playing in a live final or something, how much they're sweating, the shakes they get, they're absolutely exhausted when they come off that stage afterwards, because the mental focus it requires is absolutely insane. And many will argue, if chess counts as a sport, the physical exertion there is moving a hand. It's exactly the same story inside of esports and competitive gaming, right? I don't personally know if I want it to be at the Olympics. I don't know if it's on that level. I feel almost like it should have its own sort of competition around the world where it does come down to that sort of vibe. We get lots of World Cups inside different esports. So I don't know, maybe one day we'll see. But as a whole, I think the reason why it's growing so much is a few reasons. One, every single kid that's born these days probably has an iPad in their hand by the age of 3. They're very, very tech aware. They're very into social media and things like that. And gaming is now expanded beyond needing the kind of setup I've got, where I've got 3 27-inch monitors, a big fancy microphone in front of my face, and a couple of lights set up around me as well. It's now on something as simple as a phone. You can play games on that and be involved in a competitive environment very, very simply. The largest video game in the world, League of Legends, now has a mobile app that's going to come out very, very soon. December the 11th for the UK, which I'm very excited about. So it's a lot more accessible now. Kids are growing up with technology. It's a lot more, I suppose, air quotes, normal to be in gaming, to be in technology. So more and more people as they get older are just growing into esports, including slightly older generations that are getting into it via their mobiles. So to me, it's one of those things that's still growing. And year on year, like you say, it is getting absolutely massive now. I think for the League of Legends World Final back in 2018, it had like 99.6 million viewers or something stupid.
Wow.
Like, this is no small beast. This is bigger than some of the main conventional sports. So if you aren't into esports now, you best be keeping an eye on it.
Absolutely. And obviously David Beckham has recently, I think he purchased Guild, right?
I invested in, yeah. I spoke to one of their guys, actually, yeah.
Have you met him yet?
Not him, no. I spoke to one of the guys behind Guild, though. That's a very interesting story in itself, for sure. And I think, being real, part of that is one, you're seeing the name like David Beckham involved in a company. Of course, you're going to start taking interest in what's going on. But I think they're playing the same game a lot of esports organizations do, which is like, right now you accept you're not going to make a lot of money. It's mainly on merch sales and a little bit of rev share from these companies that are making these games when fans buy in-game cosmetics, for example, for that team. But the long-term play is just like being a conventional sports team. You want those TV rights. You want these bigger sales. It's one of those things I think that's still figuring itself out. And Guild are saying, right, we want to be at the forefront of this when it does finally become televised. They're doing the right thing by getting Beckham involved, I think, because that's definitely going to turn a lot of heads in the conventional sports world.
Absolutely. And aside from the obvious changes with regards to growth of esports this year, are there any other significant changes you've seen in the industry this year?
This year under COVID, slightly admittedly, yeah. I think number drop-offs have been very interesting to see. Everyone thought, oh, we're going into lockdown. People are at home. People will play games more. They'll watch more esports. It's going to be great. A couple of games have done really well. So Counter-Strike Global Offensive, one of those games that has grown in numbers. It had a massive spike in like April and May time. I think in part due to a competitor called Valorant being released by the developers of League of Legends, Riot Games. Other games have kind of dipped. And I remember looking at the viewership stats for some of the Counter-Strike majors, for other events like League of Legends Worlds, the Rainbow Six majors that I've been involved in. Viewership has dropped about 15 to 30% across those titles, which is really interesting to see. So despite many thinking this year would be great for growth, it hasn't been as strong as many would have anticipated. Lots of hopes now ride on live events, I think in 2021, really helping that to grow back up again. So even a world that is very centered around digital, online, playing from home, people still really want live events. So it's not just about shutting yourself in a dark room and playing games. There's a very real physical world to it as well that people are very sorely missing.
Absolutely. And in your opinion, Derry, what do esports fans need to be excited about for 2021?
Ooh, live events coming back for one. People are crying for live events to come back again, which obviously at the minute they aren't. I think one thing to be excited about is the growth of Riot Games' other titles. So League of Legends has been their flagship game for 10 years. Everyone used to meme and call them Riot Game because they only had League of Legends. Now they are actually Riot Games, I promise. They released Valorant earlier this year, which is a big shooter. And whether or not you are into Valorant as a game, whether you're into League of Legends as a game, it doesn't matter. I think the accessibility of Valorant is going to be one of those games that makes it onto live TV for the first time. And for me, that is the one thing to be excited about. We've seen it tested with a couple of games before for like the World Cup and stuff. I mean, like League of Legends or Worlds, as they call it. I think Valorant could be one of the first ones to really break through the mold a little bit. So I'm very excited to see that growth over the next year and also see what other companies start releasing and pushing on with, because it's changing year to year. There's more titles coming in. There's more advancements being made and integrations between things like Twitch and Amazon Prime and games themselves. Yeah. There's lots to look forward to, but Valorant for me is the number one.
Exciting times in industry.
Very exciting times, mate. It's one of the things that I've watched for years as well. Although I'm a commentator, I've always thought one day I do want to do a business in esports, but right now it's just so risky. And there's no... The most interesting thing about esports is the world of business for me is like, it is what it is. It's business. It's defined. Everyone knows how business tends to work. Esports blows a lot of that out of the water. A lot of it is riding on predictions, estimations, maybes in the future. Like our investor will reach out to me sometimes and say, oh, we've heard from an esports coaching company. We've heard from an esports team. What do you reckon? I'm always like, look, I don't know a single esports team that makes money right now. So I wouldn't look to be investing in those. Like they're riding on a punt in the future. So it's very much a forward-looking industry, waiting for the big explosion when TV becomes a thing or large investment comes in externally. So it is what it is at this point, right?
Good insight. And then my final question, Derry, the big one, the $1 million question. If you could be any game character, past or present, who would you be and why?
Oh, game character. That's when I'm going to get to show my real internal side to me, isn't it now? That's a real... No one's actually asked me that before. Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII, I think, just because he's badass. Like, wields a big sword, looks cool while he's doing it, says very few words, has cool hair. What more do you need in a game character, right?
That's a good answer. I like it. For me, Bowser in Mario Kart.
you
Like
even look like him, mate. Yeah, you're the
I
final
do,
boss.
like I've starred myself on him.
So you got to start describing yourself, mate. I'm the final boss. So you're
Bowser.
getting a new job. Get through me.
Yeah, that's the HR interview.
Brilliant.
Derry, honestly, thank you so much for your time today. You're an absolute star. Really, really appreciate it. I hope all our viewers enjoy this video Q&A and look out for future ones as well. We are Game Logic. Follow our social media channels. Please give us likes, comments. Love all that stuff. Derry, you're an absolute superstar. Thank you so much. And go and buy his product. If you're in recruitment or sales, get onto Derry, get one-up sales in your business. You need it.
Or if they want to come and cry to you about how much money their kids are spending on Fortnite, I'm always happy to lend a shoulder to cry on. Don't worry.
All do that. Derry, have a great weekend. I'll speak to you very soon.
No worries, mate. Thank you very much.